I think it's a good skill to have. Like everyone should have a certain self-reflection moment. I feel
Yeah.
like most people don't have that, and
Hmm.
that's why they kind of go to therapists
Yeah.
for help because most people are not used to self-reflecting.
That's a great point
Mhm.
because for me, I know it took me until my late 20s. I'm 29. I just turned 29. It took me 29. So when I turned 29 to kind of figure myself out. But
Yeah.
if I maybe had like a therapist, maybe I would have figured that out at
Hmm.
25, 24.
Yeah, and it's so crazy that you can find out so much to just like a little bit of a problem that someone talks to you about. Like for example, I have a friend, she's a doctor, right? And she's just like she cares about what other people think and this is this. And I start going into the depth of it. And I'm like, it's because you're insecure in this certain aspect and you need to fix that before you can fix anything else.
Yeah.
Because that's the root cause of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so she she always gets like so mind blown after every conversation and she's like, dude, this is crazy. And she sees a therapist too, and she told her therapist, she's like, hey, this is what Fraud said. And he's like, dude, you're a smart guy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mashallah, that's amazing.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everyone just kind of needs either that moment or that person to kind of just kind of guide you a
You know,
little
I
bit.
also feel like the world itself right now, as it is, it's meant so people do not know who they are.
I think 100%.
I
And
believe the world is so full of distractions intentionally
yeah.
to the point where you won't even think about something of a higher power over even yourself. You
Hmm.
don't even know who yourself is.
Hmm.
It's just full of distractions for that
Yeah.
purpose.
And there are many reasons for that. One, you can blame capitalism. We're constantly bombarded with distractions from like corporations and like
Yeah.
things and just stuff we see in the news. Things that are they're going on overseas, like even with Afghanistan, like that whole story and everything going on there can be instantly out of our minds
Yeah.
within the next 24 hours because something even bigger has happened.
Yes,
You know
true.
what I mean? Little things like that where we're just constantly bombarded and distracted so that we don't actually
And that's what
get
they
time
do
to
too.
ourselves.
That's what always happens, you
Yeah,
know?
I think one of the biggest blames for that is a 40-hour work week.
that too. That too.
You're working like for me, for example, right?
Yeah.
Work from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So to get to work, I leave my house at 7, come back at 6. So after that, you don't have time for yourself, right? The weekend comes and you got to do your life stuff, and then you also are still tired from the work week. So when do you really have time to reflect on yourself and see what you want or who you are?
Yeah. You don't you really
Yeah,
don't
dude.
have time.
I told you I lost my job in June of 2020, right? And dude, that whole almost a full year, I was just at home. So I had all that time to myself to self-reflect, to read, to meditate, to be outdoors, to do things like that.
Right.
And then as soon as my job started, the past like 2-3 months, like all the daily routine that I had and the stuff my time that I had for myself to self reflect, like gone. It's been such a struggle to like make time for myself because of work. You know what I mean? So that 40-hour work week is such a killer.
And bro, that's kind of like what we were talking about with the solo trips.
Yeah.
He was talking to me about it. What were you saying about the solo trip? Right?
So so like I told him like I commend him. I admire him so much for going on solo trips because I've only ever done one, right? And that was back in June for my birthday, right? I
In
went to
Cali.
LA, went to Cali, my birthplace, went there for the first time, and I enjoyed it, right? First 2 days were amazing. Like, alhamdulillah, they were amazing. Even
I
though
was so lit when I found out you were there, bro.
it was amazing, right? It was beautiful, and but after the second day I was there, like I basically hit a wall, right? Because I'm not used to being kind of like on my own trying to
Yeah.
figure shit out. Like I'm usually I like being around people, right? And dude, after a while, I just like I didn't know what to do. Like it was hard to kind of figure out. Just kind of, it's hard to figure out how to do things by yourself, like with yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes what I realize the key is on solo trips is to not do something.
That too. Yeah.
Because when I go
That
on
too.
solo trips, a lot of times I go on long drives too.
Yeah.
They're very long,
You
3 hour,
love to
4 hour
drive.
long drive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank God, dude. When I went to this Canada trip, it had a Camry, right? They had so much functions on the car where I wasn't even driving this thing.
Oh, that's
I
amazing.
literally was not even driving. I was crisscross, sitting down with my feet on the thing. I was sitting there, kind of like meditating, looking on the road. I was sitting there, mad chilling in the car ride. So I wasn't even driving, but I was sitting there for 3 hours by myself. the internet, the LTE did not work in Canada, so I couldn't even load music properly.
Oh no.
So think about that. I was just sitting there by myself, thinking these thoughts in my head constantly. But dude, I promise you, I came back from Canada a different person.
Yeah.
Wallahi, I came back as a different person.
Yeah.
So,
Like for me too, like the last 2 days I had in LA were really difficult.
yeah.
But I wouldn't change that, for
Really?
anything.
Did it help you at all?
It it definitely like and this is another thing that I've also just moved out on my own, right? And which I've never been on my own, right?
It's a big deal, dude.
It's a big deal because
The
like
biggest thing.
I always had in my mind like when when you move out of your own, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be like it's so cool. It's your own space and whatever. And it was for the first like week or so, right? Once the shine wears off, you're not. I always assume like once you leave your current situation, you go somewhere else, you get to become this new person and stuff, right? Right? But that's not necessarily the case. You still are the same person. The same burdens you carry that into the new place. It doesn't go away.
Wow.
So in LA is when that first started. When I realized, okay, even though I'm out of this current environment, out of my previous environment, I still have this not baggage, but these things that that I've internalized and that are just kind of have been kind of clawing to kind of get out, that I've kind of pushed down for forever.
So it seems to me that you're almost aware of what's.
Yeah. Oh,
Holding you
fully
down.
aware, fully
Wow,
aware.
okay.
But once you're in your own
Wow.
place
Okay.
and you don't have family responsibility or whatever, like all that kind of comes to the surface, and you're like, whoa, like I knew I had this, but like,
You have
whoa,
to
this is
battle
like
it. You have
this
to
is
battle it.
you're fully confronted with it,
God
like,
dang,
fully.
dude.
and there's no one else to help you with it to
Wow.
kind of walk you through. It's you versus you.
Wow.
It's you versus you,
Wow.
and me is kicking my ass right now.
That's crazy that you said.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know what's wrong with me until I randomly find out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens a lot doing the solo trips. Is when I'm there, I'm like, dude, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making big mistakes when I'm back in.
You get that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have this understanding, and then from there, I'm like, okay. I got to fix this.
Yeah.
So I do my best to not hold the baggage. Is this something that's like hard for you to like let go of or something, or what?
It's not necessarily things to let go. It's things I haven't confronted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like
Okay.
just my struggles with like my own. Everyone has their own mental health issues and struggles and things that they've
Yeah.
dealt with. And growing up, I just in our own household, because we don't talk about these things, what do?
Yeah.
We internalize it. We push it down.
Yeah.
Right. And then now that I'm away from, I'm in my own space, all that has kind of come out.
Wow.
Because you can't put a lid on that anymore. Like there's no
Yeah.
excuse there's no excuse to put a lid on it. Because
Mhm.
typically at home,
Yeah.
you just get distracted by something else. But here, in my new place, it's just me.
Yeah.
So that's been an eye opener. And I wanted to ask you specifically this because
Mm-hmm.
are you living at home with family with your wife?
Family. No, not
Okay.
yet with my wife.
Oh, you're not living.
Not
Okay,
yet.
yeah. That's interesting because I'm curious as to what that would be like. Because you've never lived on your own, right? Before.
No.
Right. So it is definitely going to be interesting when you and her eventually inshallah live together.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's just going to
Yeah.
be just you two.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, whenever that stuff does come out,
Yeah.
you have someone kind of there.
Yeah. But the thing is that she also has her own
That's the
battles.
thing, yeah.
And so I have to figure that out.
Yeah, it's been interesting.
That's really cool. That's really cool. For me, I can't grasp the concept of carrying baggage. I don't know that feeling. I just don't know that. Everyone's built differently.
Yeah,
I don't know the feeling of carrying baggage unless I went through like a traumatic experience with my family,
yeah,
which has been the case for sure. But when it comes to my own personal self, I'm very like determined to just end it because I get so tired of suffering, bro.
What do you mean by end it?
Like if I know that within my own self I'm dealing with something that I have caused, I do my best to solve it, fix it in a way where I don't feel bad or I don't feel like that baggage is with me. You do kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's interesting because I feel like a lot of people do that.
Mhm.
But one thing from a book that I've read is it talks about doing the opposite of that and why it's actually healthy sometimes to not
what?
necessarily fix it, but just sit with it and feel all of it.
Yeah, I might have a completely wrong mentality based off of it.
Yeah.
I'm a very proactive type of guy. Like
Yeah.
for me, if there's something wrong in my life, I have to fix it.
Yeah.
and that might be some type of thing within my own self, but I think it helps, but it also takes a toll on my brain too,
Mhm.
because you're constantly on that battle. For me, I can't move on until I fix it. You know?
Yeah. You've been deep in thought for quite some time.
See, for me, I don't know how it's. I've always, since I can remember, since I was a kid, I've always kept myself so busy that I never thought about, like, I guess,
You?
yeah, me personally.
Yeah.
I've always, I don't remember the last time I was sitting there doing nothing. I've always kept myself constantly busy. I don't know, maybe if it's internally or I don't. It's not like a effort to keep myself busy. It's just naturally I've always kept myself busy. So I don't really, for me to sit down and reflect on myself, it just takes too much effort. So because I'm so used to just constantly being busy,
Yeah.
I've never had that feeling of trying of like realizing these demons I have. They've always just been, I guess, so buried down that I don't even. I think even if I moved out, that wouldn't happen because
I
I stay so busy constantly. I'm always doing something no matter what.
I think that because I got a friend who's exactly like that, who's
Okay.
just so busy, he's never had a chance to really not confront, but just kind of feel himself, you know, and that eventually, whenever he did move out, and he was busy, right, with work and stuff, but the moments that were quiet, it would hit him hard,
Yeah.
like and not like gradually, it would just like sucker punch because it would hit you hard whenever you constantly push things down, it's like a a jar or like a boiling pot, right? Eventually, you can put a lid on it, but eventually it's gonna continue to bubble up and boil, and it'll overflow. What I would recommend to you if you are interested in trying to figure out kind of more yourself, try journaling.
Hmm?
Try journaling.
That's
It
so
doesn't
true.
have doesn't have to be every day, but I do it at least once a week. Just write down like what my thoughts are, what I'm feeling. Maybe three questions to ask yourself: How am I feeling? How's my week been? And yeah, just something like that, just once a week, and you'll start to kind of gradually be able to kind of be in tune with yourself a little bit more because it's like a muscle.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I
Yeah.
actually told my wife to do that.
Yeah,
I mean, this is just me speaking like truly what my thoughts are. That feels counterintuitive. Like, why would I bring those demons up and out when they're not currently bothering me? And I guess, successfully bottled them up.
yeah. I've used that same kind of thinking for my entire life, right? And now I'm to this point where I'm in my late 20s and I'm on my own, and all this stuff that I didn't want to kind of confront because at the time it wasn't important to confront, it's it's coming out now, and I just feel that stuff like that eventually it does come out. So it's good to kind of get ahead of it now
Yeah.
because you're essentially building that muscle to whenever it happens again in the future or whenever you do come across something that does kind of bother you or something emotionally that hurts you, you kind of know how to deal with it a little bit better. If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And just like you say, you bottle it up and everything, and you're 100% right. It will eventually come out. That's the thing. You can never bottle it up enough to the point where it's never going to come out. And when it comes out, it's going to come out in a way where it's destructive to your life. Like me, for example, I had the issue of I had my own personal issues that I refused to even bottle up or even think about. I mean, who I continue to bottle up, but I didn't even think about it until someone presented it to me. And the moment I confronted it and accepted that was a problem within my own self and then decided to fix it is when I found my wife.
Really?
Yeah. That's when I actually sat down and I was like, wait a minute. I actually do have, let's sit down, let's be honest with each other. Someone else said it. Let's be honest with myself. I do have problems.
Yeah.
I do have problems and I'm willing to fix it. And when I found that out about myself, it helped me become a better person. And in return, if you know how to be the best version of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't have that happen. You can't be the best version of yourself if you have demons within your own self that you haven't battled. If you don't
Yeah.
become the best human of yourself, the best being of yourself, number one, you're living life not to its fullest. Number two, you won't have a proper connection with Allah.
Yeah.
If you don't know who you are yourself, how are you supposed to identify who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is?